All right, let's get right into it. We all know AI is supposed to be this huge business-changing force, right? And yet, so many AI projects are just fizzling out. So what's going on? Why are companies pouring millions into AI and not seeing the results they expected? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly why that is, and more importantly, give you a real-world playbook for what leaders can do about it. First off, the numbers here are, well, they're pretty staggering. A global survey from BCG found that out of all the companies investing in AI, only about 26% are seeing any real value. Think about that. That means nearly 3/4 of AI efforts aren't delivering. This isn't just a small gap, it's a massive canyon between the hype and the reality. So, what's causing this huge failure rate? Now, your first guess might be the technology itself. Bad data, messy integrations, that kind of thing. And yeah, those are problems, but they are not the main story. The real culprit? It's the people. A full 70% of the challenges are about our teams, our culture, and our processes, the human side of the business. And that leads us to a really simple but powerful conclusion. We've been obsessing over the shiny new AI tools, when we should have been looking at the operating system they have to run on, our own organizations. The problem isn't the tech. It's our own ability to change and adapt to these new ways of working. This really brings us to the core issue, the nature of change itself. You see, in the past, change was an event. You'd roll out a big project, do some training, and then things would settle down for a few years. But AI isn't a one-time upgrade. It's this constant, relentless wave of evolution. And that old way of managing change, it's just completely broken now. So, to survive and actually thrive in this new world, companies need a totally new capability. It's called change resilience. And I want you to think of it less like a project and more like a reflex. It's this built-in, company-wide instinct to take all this constant disruption and actually turn it into learning, and from learning into real value. This is how you close that value gap. Okay, so how do you build this reflex? The best way to think about it is like building muscles. Just like you'd hit the gym to get physically stronger, an organization needs to train 3 specific muscles to become truly resilient to change. So here are the 3 muscles. First, there's sensing. That's your ability to spot what's coming around the corner before it hits you. Second, there's rewiring. This is all about speed and agility, being able to move your people, your money, and your data to where they're needed most, in weeks, not in quarters. And third, there's lock-in. This is the discipline to actually learn from what you do, so you don't have to solve the same problems again and again. If you want a fantastic real-world example of these muscles in action, just look at Shopify. They sensed that the shift to AI was way more critical than their logistics business. So they rewired the entire company, spinning off a whole division they'd spent years and billions building. This allowed them to lock in their focus and rapidly roll out new AI-powered tools. They didn't just adopt AI, they fundamentally reshaped their business around it. So let's make this really personal for a second. Ask yourself this. If a huge opportunity or a major threat popped up tomorrow, could you get your best people working on it right away? Or would you get bogged down in endless meetings about budgets, headcounts, and who reports to whom? Your answer gets right to the heart of that rewiring muscle. Or let's bring it down to the team level. Picture this. One of your sharpest employees has a brilliant idea for a new AI tool. Can they just start building it? Do they have permission? Do they have the data? Is it safe for them to just try something? Or is the whole process wrapped up in red tape? And maybe most importantly, what happens when one of those experiments doesn't work out? Is it treated like a failure that needs to be buried? Or is it seen as valuable data, a learning moment that gets shared openly so the next experiment has a better chance of success? If you're hesitating to say yes to these questions, you've got some work to do. But here's the good news. These muscles aren't something you're just born with. They can be built. So now, we're going to walk through a really practical 5-step playbook that any leader can use to start strengthening these change muscles inside their organization. The playbook is really simple and easy to remember. It's learn, do, imagine, act, and care. So let's break down what each of these really looks like in practice. Step 1 is learn. And no, this isn't about some boring top-down training seminar. It's about letting your people get their hands dirty. Accenture did this brilliantly. They set up a sandbox and basically told everyone, go build small, simple AI apps to solve your own day-to-day problems. This was genius because it did more than just build a few tools. It shifted the entire culture from passively waiting for instructions to actively experimenting. And you might think, oh, these are just tiny little bets, but those small bets add up, big time. At Accenture, these little micro-ops are already saving about 12% of working hours and actually improving the quality of the work. That creates incredible momentum and proves the value of letting everyone play. Step 2 is do. This is all about launching small, fast, highly targeted attacks on your biggest friction points. Look at Singapore's DBS Bank. They found a major bottleneck. Loan approvals were way too slow. So they spun up a small, cross-functional mini squad that built a simple AI workflow. The result? They cut manual work by 85%. And then they just did it again and again and again. And check out the payoff. All those little targeted do cycles are projected to create over $500 million in economic value for DBS in just 1 year. That's the power of starting small and building momentum. Okay, step 3, imagine, is where you start to think really big. This isn't about just sprinkling some AI on top of your old, creaky processes. It's about having the courage to invent totally new ones from scratch. Moderna is a wild example here. They didn't just give HR a new chatbot, they merged their entire technology and HR departments to fundamentally redesign how work gets done, what's human and what's automated. I mean, that is bold. Step 4 is act. And the key here is that resilience isn't a project with an end date. It's a continuous cycle of doing, measuring, and reinvesting. P&G lives and breathes this. They built their own internal AI platform, ChatPG, and they measure everything: who's using it, what the impact is, what skills people are gaining. They've even tied thousands of reskilling badges directly to business outcomes. It creates this powerful flywheel that their CFO thinks could lead to $2 billion in productivity. And finally, step 5, and please do not skip this one, is care. Constant change is exhausting, and it can easily lead to burnout. The most resilient organizations get this. They know that supporting their people isn't a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. Cisco, for example, treats well-being data just as seriously as it treats financial data. They use team check-ins and AI bots to keep a pulse on burnout and get people the support they need. This is what keeps their teams healthy and engaged through all the chaos. So, when you put it all together, you start to see the bigger picture. The new competitive edge, the real differentiator in the age of AI. It's not going to be about who has the fanciest algorithm. It's going to be about who has the most resilient organization. Ultimately, it creates a really clear choice for every leader out there. You've got the laggards, who see AI as just another IT upgrade to prop up their old ways of doing things. And then you have the leaders, who are focused on building change itself as a core muscle, so they can constantly adapt and create new value. That's the great divide. So, as we wrap up, I want you to look at your own organization and ask this one simple but crucial question. Is it built to just react to change, always a step behind? Or is it being intentionally built to be resilient, to actually thrive on change itself? Your answer to that question is probably going to define your future. Thanks for joining The Explainer.